Well, Seer's House was actually born actually out of a class that I teach called Supernatural One-on-One. And that class, we really talked a lot about how, all power should not be accredited to occultic worlds. And so from there, we realized that the reason why people were able to know the Bible but not do the Bible was because they weren't born into the spirit world. And so this was the conversation that Jesus had with Nicodemus. And he was having this conversation with Nicodemus, who was a master teacher of Israel. He was, what we would call a PhD, a doctorate of things Israelite or things of the Israel church. And what he did was he realized that Jesus knew some secrets about the prophetic realm that he didn't have access to. And this was the thing that people knew, and that's the reason why they always called Jesus and referred to him as prophet. And so I realized then that we were in trouble, that prophets actually needed a space where they can get that level of revelation in order for them to operate properly. The biggest dangerous thing about not training the prophets is that prophets, well, let me say it this way. Every deity has its own prophets. So there's prophets of Asheroth, there's prophets of Dagon, there's prophets of Baal, every deity. And every deity is literally recruiting prophets. And so for a prophet not to be trained, they may be recruited to another deity. And so a prophet needs to be trained because there's certain things that live within the realm of the prophetic. Most prophets, they have a hard time with time because they lived outside of time. They had an existence outside of time. And so the illusion of time is very difficult for them. And they struggle with that because prophets also have access to what I call the causal realm, as well as causality, as well as reality. And so because of that, prophets have to understand that there are rules, there's legalities, there's ordinances, there's a certain etiquette that you have to have. And so if you don't have those things, not only could you end up working for another deity, but something worse could happen. You can bring damage to your world, to the people that you're responsible for, to your sphere of influence. I see a lot of times the Bible says we can say things that are not as though they are and they shall be. Well, a lot of times prophets don't realize that their existence is a result of what they've said. And so if you're not trained properly how to maintain what you said against what reality is showing you, it can cause a lot of trouble. And so there's just rules like that we teach. And I realize a lot of this stuff we have to really keep behind closed doors. That's why we have Conclave. Like I've said before, but I think that reality could be a dangerous place for prophets. But everyone needs to be in a space where they can actually be who they are authentically. And prophets especially, there's not many places that they can go. There's not many places where people understand their feelings, their emotions, understand their gifting. And so what Conclave is, y'all get the Conclave. But what Conclave is an opportunity, and what Seer's House is an opportunity for you to come amongst your peers, come amongst those who are like-spirited, like-minded, and to come among them and be comfortable with being the real prophet that you are. We can even help you with the mistakes. Prophets make mistakes. And there's so much tension and so much pressure on prophets that sometimes prophets are afraid to make a mistake. They're afraid to make a mistake because if they do, everybody calls them false prophets. They call them devils. They call them all kind of stuff. And so we create a safe place so that way you can grow, you can make mistakes, you can learn, amen. And you won't be beat up because you made a mistake, amen, but we'll help coach you along the way. Well, the vision for Conclave this year is authenticity. I think that's a huge thing right now, which I think is a little odd. Have you ever noticed that you can almost put all kind of people in their own kind of group of people? Sometimes people say they want to be different and then they just become different with the other different ones. And so one thing I love about being authentic is it's your own original print, something that's only and uniquely towards you or for you. And so this year, we're going to teach the prophets how to be authentic. And Conclave this year, we're going to show them how it is and what is the authentic thing that God has called you to do. There's certain things that you're going to be called to do that no one else is going to be called to do. And so you're going to have to be okay and comfortable with sounding different, You know, a lot of people don't understand most prophets are not preachers. Most prophets work in different industries, corporate industries, in government, things like that. And so it's a great, great, great time. And that's the vision for Conclave this year. And we're going to talk about some good things. We're going to talk about the Mackinac, which in Hebrew actually means the camp. There's something happens when we all get together. There's something amazing that happens when we all get together. We're going to talk about the Merkava, which is a vehicle in the realm of the spirit in which prophets use. Now, just like it's illegal for you to walk on a freeway, it's illegal for you to walk in the middle of a street. You have to have a vehicle. That there's certain vehicles that have to be used in the realm of the spirit in order for you to move from one space to another. And so a Merkava is one of those vehicles. And so we're going to talk about some of those things. Listen, this year Conclave is going to be so enlightening for so many people. And everyone needs to go. So not just prophets should show up. Apostles, evangelists, pastors, teachers, prophetic people, apostolic people, evangelistic people, all those type of people should come. If you know that God has called you for something bigger than the church, if you know that God has called you for something bigger than what your family knows or what your friends are accustomed to you doing, this is going to be the time for you to come, so that way you get the enlightening, the encouragement, the thrill, all the things that you need in order to be progressive. Conclave. The word conclave just actually means locked door or closed door. That's it. There are certain conversations that you got to have inside the house that everyone shouldn't hear. And so prophetically, just like this, a lot of people think it's okay for prophets to, be prophets of doom, say, oh, God's about to come and kill us all. Oh, the apocalypse is coming. Okay, no. There's certain conversations that we can have amongst prophets where God puts us in a position where we are actually supposed to intercede for, not push it to happen. And so this is what happened when Abram was talking to God, and God was like, hey, I'm about to destroy everything. Abram was like, no, God, let's talk behind closed doors. Let's make an agreement. And so we're going to show prophets how to do just that. And so Conclave is an amazing, amazing space where we can share some amazing secrets. The reason why I can't say too much is because it's Conclave. It's a closed door. So you got to be there to see it. There's no recording. We don't allow any recording of any type during Conclave. It's just us. And we're going to share. We're going to talk. There's going to be amazing exchanges.